Hello, welcome to Walkthrough Show with me, majorsunilshetty. I'm at India's largest prototyping center based in Hyderabad, the TWorks. This is spread over 4 acres, and this particular building, this huge building, is about 70,000 square feet. And here people come to create, explore and experiment. Let's meet Anurag Veluri, who's the lead for partnerships here at TWorks. And he will come along with us in the walkthrough and show us what exactly happens at TWorks. So let's go walk with him. Hey Anurag.
Hello Major Sunil, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting us.
No issues. Welcome to TWorks. We're India's largest prototyping center.
Oh yes, I know. I mean, when I heard of 70,000, now I know how it looks like, right?
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's pretty huge. In fact, the current building that you are in right now is called TWorks Phase 1, which is at 78,000 square feet. And we've got plenty of workshops here. We've covered plenty of materials, quite a lot of capabilities that, more than 700 plus people have, benefited off so far. And this space has been used by more than 250 startups, more than 100 SMEs, and quite a lot of rural innovators as well.
And when you think of, you are right adjacent to T-Hub, right? And both in terms of design and also the way, the look and feel, complete contrast, isn't it? There it is like office, and here it's hardcore work happening, right, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think this is a very strategic move as well, because let's say you have a startup, they can pick their offices right there at T-Hub, get accelerated. And if any of these startups are into product development, they could always walk down here, it's right adjacent to them, and yeah, they can start building products.
Perfect. So let's go?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So one of the things that I realized is that you use a lot of material here, isn't it?
Yes.
And what was the idea behind using different types of material to build something like this?
Right. So we use multiple elements, multiple materials, which are again used in various sectors. So TWorks is sector agnostic, so we'd not restrict ourselves to any particular sector or industry, which is why we have all the materials and all the workshops in place that can be used by any sector, be it mobility, be it IoT, be it robotics, pretty much everything.
What is the model of working here? I mean, is it something like where people use a space and then they pay for it, they use it for a duration of time? Is it for a project? How does that work?
So there are plenty of models on which we are currently operating. So our vision is to create and celebrate a culture of hobbyists, makers and innovators in India who explore and experiment without the fear of failure. Essentially, we are lowering barriers to prototyping by providing various services. So one service could be where a startup, or let's say anyone, could have a design ready and they would like to use our equipment. They simply send their files to us and we can give them a quotation for fabrication. The second one is when they have very well fleshed out ideas, or let's say products that they are currently facing challenges with, they could approach us with problem statements and our team can troubleshoot it for them, which is product design and development. Another service that we offer is component sourcing. So we have tied up with Mauser Electronics, which happens to be one of the largest electronics retail platforms on the internet right now. And we could source components from them from other countries, and this way we're actually able to bridge the demand that is currently there in India. And if any of the manufacturers are unable to meet this demand, we can always help them with sourcing.
Perfect. So let's see what I believe you also have state-of-art equipment.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's see what do you want to start with, which is like very unique for this space.
Surely. So currently the shop that you are in right now is the metal and machine shop. This is the largest workshop in TWorks Phase 1. And over here we have all sorts of state-of-the-art equipment to process, or let's say to work with metals. So you have a section for metrology over here for precise measurement. Then you have a tool room over there, which is again for manually operated tools. You have a manual lathe, you have flow drilling machines, you have plenty of machines that are manually run. Next, these two machines that you see are, let's say, some of the biggest assets that anyone could get access to. Now, these are CNCs. A CNC is nothing but a computer numeric control. You do not need to run operations manually. There is a technician that can simply understand or interpret the design you have provided and run the program on the machine. So what you have over here is a CNC turn mill, which is 3-axis, and this one is a 5-axis vertical milling center. So we could take a look at what each of these machines are actually capable of making or producing.
Perfect. Let's do that.
So this machine right here is a 5-axis vertical milling center. So what you can do is, you can place a block of metal and input your design into the computer. So based on the design you have provided, there are multiple nozzles or blades which cut this block of metal according to the design you have provided. So you can make quite a lot of intricate components with this.
Like one right now you're doing, right?
Yep.
Something like this. I mean, somebody would send a plate like that, and then this is what would be created using the machine, right?
Yes. So you have a block of metal which has already been placed in. So what happens is, once we have received your design, we're going to run the program which is going to machine this job for you. And there are multiple blades which are going to be cutting the block of metal to obtain this design that you see.
Basically, Anurag, what you're saying is, with an idea, you come in here or a design, and you basically walk out with a finished product.
Yes,
yeah?
essentially.
And
So,
this is good for, small businesses, startups, even somebody who's, the solopreneurs. If they have their own ideas, they could walk into a place and come up with their own idea, build a product and go out. Right?
yes.
And probably even colleges benefit out of that, institutions.
In fact, everyone, right from students, families, all the way to large enterprises. Of course, you have startups, which happen to be our biggest chunk of beneficiaries, but everyone on the spectrum of users can actually access all the services and offerings that TWorks has. Over here, we have a couple of prototypes that have been made or machined on the VMC that we just saw. So what I'm holding right now over here, this is the base of a robotic arm that we had done for a startup. And again, like I explained, there's a block of metal that's kept inside the VMC, and all the blades machine it out for you such that your design is obtained. So this forms the foundation of a robotic arm, and the entire robotic arm is going to stem out of this. Similarly, you can take a look at more examples. We have designed heat sinks for electronic devices, some precision engineering components. In fact, you can notice the intricacy of design itself. So this is the prototype of a helmet that we have done on the VMC.
Yeah.
You can take a look at it. In fact, you can feel it. It's quite heavy as well.
Wow. Yeah, that is heavy.
Yep.
So this is like a cyclist helmet, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Probably not suitable for you, but surely.
Perfect.
So basically, we have all sorts of metal available here at TWorks. In fact, we are also coming up with a retail store where you can purchase these consumables, or if there is a customized metal that you're looking for, you can always get it in-house.
And you're also kind of supporting the rural innovation thing. Could you talk about that a bit?
Definitely. So the Rural Innovation Development Program is in fact one of our landmark programs, right? We've conceived this program because of the vast amount of talent available in the grassroots.
Yeah.
So we partner with one of our ecosystem partners, which happens to be Telangana State Innovation Cell, and we scout for rural innovators with novel and scalable, or let's say impactful innovations. So over here we have 3 exhibits of such rural innovators and their innovations. So the first one is actually Shrija's Biopress. So Shrija is a 9th grade student from Jogulamba, Gadwal district of Telangana, and she's made these. So this is a biopot. Earlier she used to make about 6 or 7 biopots using her hands, and basically this is a very sustainable and a biodegradable alternative for the black sapling bags that you find in nurseries. So this is made using agricultural waste such as groundnut shells, tamarind shells, and a couple of binders here and there. So
sustainability, going back to using the rural knowledge,
yes,
or ancient knowledge,
yes,
to use
pretty
all
much.
of that, right?
Yep. So earlier she used to do it handmade, and to increase her output, we have developed this machine. And this is called the BioPress. So it has a heating coil, a hydraulic press. You pour in your mixture, and this mold actually designs the appropriate shape for the BioPress.
So sustainability is one of the key things that TWorks is all about, right?
Definitely. In fact, we have quite a lot of startups. We have quite a lot of small MSMEs as well that are working on the concept of sustainability.
Sustainability is built within the model of TWorks, isn't it?
Yes, pretty much. Right from businesses all the way to products, we ensure that most of the materials, or let's say most of the processes that we stick to here at TWorks are sustainable in nature.
The support that you're providing currently to rural innovators.
Right. So rural innovators, they generally have quite a lot of ideas because they've seen problems at grassroots. So we have rural innovators that come from agricultural backgrounds. We have a rural innovator who used to be a TV mechanic before. So they've got brilliant ideas and they do not have the equipment nor the support in terms of manpower to actually scale their product up or perfect their product. So we offer all sorts of training and nurturing for these rural innovators to translate their ideas into actual products, and we also help them set up micro enterprises.
I mean, I think that's the need of the hour, isn't it?
Yes.
Because obviously we can't provide jobs, we cannot have everything. I mean, one is to talk about jobs. The other is that it's better if people kind of find something within their own ecosystem, right? Where they are from, the villages, the towns.
Right.
So that's why it's very important that we encourage rural innovators, entrepreneurs, so that they can build something which is relevant to them in their own ecosystem. Answer, find solutions for the problem they face.
Yes. So in fact, Ashok Gorre is one of our rural innovators. He's developed this seed sowing tool, which actually reduces the burden of having to bend to sow seeds. So he's developed a very efficient tool which has been designed in such a manner that there's almost no strain while you're sowing a seed. Similarly, we have Rajendra.
And products like these, solutions like these, can only be found by people who live in that ecosystem, isn't it?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, it's for an urban, youth to find a solution that is applicable or makes sense for the rural, challenge. It's difficult.
Yeah.
If you're feeling the pain, you're living in that environment, you understand what is required, and then you can find a better solution.
That's true.
Yeah. This is one of my favorites actually, woodworks. So yeah, maybe if I were to take a internship or a work, this would be the place I would come.
Yeah, please. You're actually free to explore all the tools that are available over here. You can take a look at some of the state-of-the-art equipment as well. So the reason we have a woodworking shop is again because we have users such as artists, we have users that are also hobbyists, and essentially we're also trying to incorporate wood as one of the materials used in prototyping. You can start off with enclosures, you can start off with casts, you can start off with plenty of products. And we have all the equipment that is necessary to work with wood. So we have hand tools and power tools over there. Then you have, all these miter saws, then plenty of planers, quite a lot of this equipment which is pretty essential for working with wood. Then we've got 2 CNC routers. The one that you see there is a small CNC router. In fact, we had designed parts of one of our hybrid VTOLs on that router. And similarly, we have a larger CNC router over here on which we've designed plenty of stuff. In fact, one of the products that we had worked on using this machine is the Cradle. Now, this Cradle is a remarkable product.
Well, one of the things that I like about whatever I've seen so far is it's open and there's natural light coming in, and that is spacious.
Yes.
Typically, if you talk about a prototyping center, the thought that comes to your mind is an enclosed place, more which looks like a factory space, not necessarily one which is ambient energy out there, temperature, light coming in. So this was something which was very clear from day one when they're designing TWorks.
Yes, that's true. In fact, the entire concept of the building is such that we are welcoming a lot of natural light. So in fact, we do not switch on the lights in the atrium, the common space, until dusk. So we have quite a lot of natural light coming in, and in fact we're situated right in the heart of the city. So we're not somewhere near the outskirts that is inaccessible, and we have ambient temperatures at most times.
So this is one of the cradles that were designed here.
Yes, so this is one of the products that we had developed in-house, and the story behind this is pretty beautiful. One of our team members was expecting a child, and he wanted a cradle that could be assembled and disassembled very quickly. So what you see here is a flat pack design. Nothing but there's almost no hardware involved. It's completely based on efficient design and joineries. So you can actually assemble this and disassemble this according to your needs. So once your child grows up, you can disassemble this, make it flat, stack it somewhere else.
Perfect. Have you approached IKEA for this?
No, definitely not.
No,
IKEA
because-
should be approaching us, in fact.
No, because if they know this, something like this, because IKEA is all about, DIY.
That's
right?
true.
So something which can be assembled without actually having to put a screw into it.
Yeah.
I think that is safe
Yes.
for the kids, right?
In fact, the entire concept of not using quite a lot of hardware was also to ensure the kids' safety. So, in fact, these joineries that you see, right, they're also, they have blunt surfaces.
Yeah.
And in fact, what you can do is you could just turn this down to make it stable. So, a parent does not actually have to rock the crib. So, you can keep it stable. And similarly, if it has to be rocked, all you have to do is just
roll them up.
Yeah.
This is an impressive design, I must say. See, this has an added element of safety, right?
Right.
Which is no nails, no screws, right? So
That's
which means it's you just plug and play and that's it.
Yeah, in fact, this is one of the products that we're trying to launch into the market as well. So we're looking at manufacturers for quite a lot of our products. So we stick to a lot of values here at TWorks, and the first one is no mass manufacturing, and basically we enable mass manufacturing, but we do not engage in it directly. So any product that is built at TWorks can be picked up by a manufacturer, and similarly we have IP protection at all times. So every piece of information or every idea that enters this building is protected at all costs. Next, we do not take any equity. So a product that is built using our services is still completely owned by you. The most important of our values is fair and non-discriminatory access to all. So we do not have any sorts of barriers, be it religious, be it socio-economic barriers. Anyone can walk into this facility, be it a student, be it a rural innovator, be it a startup. Anyone can walk in and use our services.
I think that is what is important, isn't it?
That is definitely important.
The way I see the first floor is all about prototyping in terms of metal, wood. What else is there at the first floor?
So at the first floor, we've got lighter equipment. In fact, on the ground floor, we just saw heavy equipment where you have milling machines, where you have welding, where you have quite a lot of heavy machinery. On the first floor, we've got laser cutting and engraving. We've got an electronics lab, a small pre-compliance or testing lab. We've got 3D printing, and finally a ceramic studio.
Perfect. And something is coming up here?
Yes. So on the ground floor, we have 3 workshops coming up. There's a PCB fabrication lab that's coming up where you can get a PCB up to 12 layers within 72 hours. So this is going to be a major boost for startups, and not just startups, in fact, India as a nation.
Yes.
Next, we have a plastics and composites shop coming up, which is again going to be India's first ever dedicated shop for work on composite materials. We also have a finish shop for all the prototypes that are built in-house. You can step right into the shop, you can get it spray painted, or you can get it anodized, powder coated, whatever you require. So we also have something called a garage, which is your perfect space for product assembly and R&D. So startups can come in here, let's say, work on a project for about 2 or 3 months, use all our services such as rapid prototyping. You can consult the team members for developing a product. You can go into the garage, assemble your product and test it. So we have ample amount of space for multiple startups to build their product out of TWorks.
So ground floor, right from a design to prototype, parts, and then get into a garage, test it, and thereafter it is. So ground floor basically does everything, all of that.
Pretty much. So you have most of your major capabilities on the ground floor, but we also have equally important capabilities on the first floor. We are on the first floor. This is where we've got close to 5 workshops, all of which are covering various materials and technologies once again. So the first one is laser cutting and engraving. And this is actually a very economical and also a very fast route for working with acrylics or wood. So basically we have laser cutters inside which are capable of producing objects like these. This is an enclosure for an electronics piece. Now what you see inside is an Arduino. Now this is the enclosure which is made out of acrylic. Similarly, you have scale models of various products. What I'm holding here is actually the wing of one of the hybrid VTOLs that we have developed, a vertical takeoff and landing drone. So this is made using balsa wood, completely laser cut. You would be shocked to see how lightweight this material is.
Whoa, whoa. This looks like as if I'm holding a wafer in my hand.
Yeah, this is made of balsa wood, and we've laser cut the parts of it. We've also assembled it in-house. It's a very lightweight choice.
So this is what an entrepreneur or an innovator could do: create a prototype, scale model, and then see how it works, do the testing on it, and then go for the, the real one, right?
Yeah, essentially the journey that they should be taking is they should start with low fidelity prototyping. They could use some of this equipment for building proof of concepts, and then they could go for their alpha prototypes, a beta prototype, and then finally their MVP. So this building is capable of making all of this an industry ready product, not having to step up. What we have here are two laser cutting and engraving machines. So we have a 120 watt CO2 laser cutter and an 80 watt CO2 laser cutter. So these machines are actually shooting carbon dioxide in the form of a laser to either etch surfaces or cut them or engrave them. So you can make a lot of these scale models that you just saw using laser cutting, and you can have some customized text on top of it if you're going for laser etching. So we'll be taking a look at how laser cutting happens. So for laser cutting and engraving, we receive files in the form of an SVG or a PDF format, and we basically take a look at this. We review the design that you have provided, and then we give the input to the machine. So we'll be taking a look at how this design that you just chose is going to be coming out on the 120 watt laser cutter that we've got.
And how much time does it take for a design to be cut?
In fact, less than 2 or 3 minutes. It's just a minute's job, in fact. So depending on the complexity of the design that you have provided,
So it's just simple typing and then do it?
Yeah, pretty much. So you basically configure the machine according to your needs. You basically have the thickness at which it's going to be cutting. Then you have to make some minor changes to the design so that the placement has been perfected. So you can take a look at how my colleague is placing the design on the sheet of acrylic.
If somebody had small orders, could you take that also?
Yeah, definitely. So like I said before, we don't do mass manufacturing. If the numbers are suitable with us, let's say ideally less than 10, then we're open. So here we have a pre-compliance or a testing lab. So this is where we have equipment for environmental stress testing. So let's say you make a prototype out of TWorks and you want to see how this prototype performs under variable environmental conditions. You can simulate these conditions in the machines that we have, and you can get the test reports.
So what kind of tests can you simulate here?
Right, so we have a thermal and humidity chamber over here, which can, let's say, simulate various levels of humidity. Similarly, various temperatures that range from minus 40 degrees centigrade all the way to 150 degrees centigrade. So you can take a look at it. It's currently at 100% relative humidity and regular 30.5 degrees centigrade. And you can see the PCB cluster that's been, then we've got a soldering station where you have precision soldering. Then we've got a universal testing machine which can test the tensile strength of various objects or prototypes. Similarly, we have an industrial oven which can go all the way up to 200 degrees centigrade. So with all of this equipment, what you can do is get the test reports of how each and every prototype of yours performs, and you can go to a certifying authority and get your product certified.
So is that something you also provide as a support in terms of, because they will need the test reports from here?
Yes.
And then coming from TWorks kind of adds that value, add credibility to it, isn't it?
That's true, that's true. So in fact, we're trying to tie up with quite a lot of these certifying authorities. And once any of our beneficiaries have the test reports done, they could approach one of these partners and get their product certified. So let's say you have any electronic setup, you can actually run some vibration testing over here, get the test report for it, and make sure that your product actually stays intact at such force.
So quality control is taken care basically,
yes.
Right? Well, that's one of the key things, when you're talking about products, and especially with where we are going as a nation.
That's true.
Where we want to be a manufacturing, we also want to be the manufacturing hub of the world, So quality control becomes very, very critical.
Right. So right now we're in the electronics lab where we've got various kinds of equipment that anyone can come and rent on an hourly basis. So an interesting business model that we've worked upon is the equipment rental, which is under our prototyping services. So you do not have to actually purchase, equipment that is worth lakhs, while instead you can come down to TWorks and rent it out on an hourly basis. So you can take an electronics workbench, customize it according to your needs, and perform all your testing and assembly related to electronics.
That's an interesting model because one of the challenges for early stage startups, bootstrap startup is,
Yes.
if I have to start something, I need, a few lakh rupees, just to get the equipment. So now they can just get rid of that, come straight to you, use it for an hour, probably pay a few thousand rupees.
In fact, hundreds.
Hundreds.
Yes.
There you go.
So yeah, you can take a look at some of the beneficiaries that are using the equipment over here. So you have all your function generators, your oscilloscopes, your spectrum analyzers, quite a lot of this equipment that is very critical for hardware-based startups. They can rent all of this out on an hourly basis and perform all the tests.
How many startups can work or teams can work here at one time?
So this building can host close to 300 people at a single go. And based on the startup size, we can accommodate as many as possible. And 3D printing is, in fact, currently one of the most, highly in demand technologies, right? Quite a lot of the world is shifting towards 3D printing. And currently at TWorks, we have two technologies of 3D printing. One is fused filament fabrication and the other is stereolithography. So this line of 3D printers that you see are FFF 3D printers. So basically, you can take a look at this machine that is performing. So you have solid spools of plastic that are melted at specific temperatures. So just like the CNC that we saw downstairs, we receive the file from you, and this machine interprets the file you have given in its own way, and it starts printing layer by layer. So the solid spool of plastic is melted, and then it prints bottom to top.
So when it comes to, because 3D, these are 3D printing is across the board. When it comes to different types of material they're using. What are what do you have? I mean, do you have just the plastics or the other elements also?
So currently we have plastics and liquid resin based 3D printers, but soon we will be getting metal 3D printing, and that is going to be a major boost because with metal 3D printing you can print a part and go about using it directly. Currently these are our plans. In the future you will probably be seeing more technologies and more types of 3D printing coming up. Next we have SLA 3D printing. Now SLA stands for stereolithography, and these 3D printers that you see are compatible with liquid resin. We have biocompatible 3D printers. Similarly, we have regular 3D printers for SLA. So once you're done finalizing your design, what you can do is you can actually use the SLA 3D printer to see how your product performs. You can choose various kinds of resins. So let's say you're looking for some elastic properties. We have an elastic resin or a flexible resin. Similarly, if you want a material that's really tough, we've got rigid resin. Let's say you have applications in the medical industry. You can always try the biocompatible resin, biomedical resin, or the surgical guide resin. So yeah, this 3D printer that you see here is actually a biocompatible one. And we've got surgical guide resin. So what I'm holding here are surgical guides that were used by LV Prasad Institute. So what you see over here are surgical guides that were done for LV Prasad Institute. If you remember, during the second wave of COVID, we had the black fungus outbreak. And to actually work with victims of the black fungus, we require surgical guides. So we get the designs of their eyes based on the CT scans, and based on the CT scans, we again design a surgical guide appropriately. So what you'll be holding is a biocompatible surgical guide resin. Basically does not cause any sorts of infection when it comes in contact with the tissues of your eyes. So once SLA 3D printing is done, you have these support structures that are vertical in nature. And post-processing, you basically have to be cutting off all of these to make sure that your prototype is ready. Similarly, we've got this coming up. This is industrial polyjet. Now let's say you have your shoes.
Yeah.
You can literally print a sole out of it. It's an industry-ready product. Similarly, we've got MJF coming up, which is again a technology from Hewlett-Packard. Multiple materials, multiple colors inside one object. So you can take a look at this. There are multiple colors inside, and there are different materials also that have been used. The exterior is different, the interiors are
So that's the beauty of the new technology, isn't it? You can
Yes.
play with, experiment with.
Yes,
It's like today you can actually make your wildest imagination possible with technology.
that's
isn't
true.
it?
We're currently in the ceramic studio where we've got all sorts of equipment required for pottery or even working with ceramics. So the beauty about TWorks is we have a technician for each and every workshop and each and every machine in here. So safety and supervision is taken care of at all times. So let's say a visitor just walks right in and wants to understand what sorts of materials are compatible on different machines. There's always a technician that can help them out. In fact, you can consult the team right from picking the kind of technology you have to go for. Let's say if you're machining a piece of metal. Similarly, what kind of metal are you supposed to be using to achieve your desired outcome? So we have a product
So
team.
from design, from an idea stage, isn't it? From an idea to design to
Yep.
metal to final the output and then testing them. So all of that is covered by.
Yeah.
And there's an expert, as you said, there's a domain expert for each of it.
Yes. So in fact, people can walk in at any stage of the product development, right from their ideation stage. In fact, we've got quite a lot of people coming here at their prototyping stage. So let's say the prototype that they currently have is facing some challenges or facing some issues. So they can always consult the team to tweak the challenges, to in fact fine-tune the current prototype and perfect it for production.
Pottery is one place where there are a lot of people who come for hobby, right?
Yes.
So is it open for people who want to just come and play for a while?
Definitely. In fact, soon we're going to be launching a couple of workshops where people could book a slot, let's say for an hour of pottery, or else if they just want to understand the basics of pottery. You have various techniques involved in pottery, right from hand building to wheel throwing. And we're promising a full experience over here. You can take a look at some of these samples that were made. So we've got hand-built samples. Similarly, we've got samples that were thrown on the wheels. And quite a lot of creativity comes out of this space. This space can also be used by corporate employees. So let's say any organization is looking to retain their employees. They could send in a batch of, let's say, 10 or 15 of their employees, and we could run an hour's or let's say an entire day's workshop for them.
So if I want to get a seminar done for my company, I can use your services?
Definitely.
Yeah, as long as it's small numbers, they're not huge.
As long as it's business, we're good to go. Projects the team has worked on. So what you see here is silver filigree. Now, this is a project that I personally close very dearly to my heart. So this is a native art of Karimnagar, one of the cities in Telangana. And there's a small community of craftsmen. They're called Sifka. So they work on such beautiful art pieces. In fact, all their pieces, right, they are made using these foundational patterns. These are very tiny patterns with which are very simple again, but they constitute the majority of one particular product of theirs. So the current challenge that they're facing is they're able to only process, let's say, up to 8 grams of silver, in a single day. There are, craftsmen that are working day in, day out just to process 8 grams of silver. So when they approached TWorks, they came with a very simple problem statement. They did not want to lose their jobs due to automation. And second, they wanted to increase their throughput so that they can take more orders. So we started designing a tool for them, which is again semi-automated in nature and which can increase their throughput by at least 12 times. So we started with acrylics. So we tried the subsystems using laser cutting, the machine that we just saw. And once we were satisfied with the design, we went on to 3D printing. You can see some FFF 3D printing where we again try to design the complete product. And finally, we went into machining. So over here, you can see that there's quite a lot of CNC milling that was done. Then you can see some electronics, some motors that have also been incorporated. So when the final product is ready, you'll actually be able to see a wire of silver that can be machined so that you get these tiny patterns.
So basically here you are showcasing all the 3 or 4 stages.
Yes.
That typically that would happen at TWorks.
Yes.
You start with a acrylic sheet,
Yep.
a proof of concept,
Yep.
and then it goes to the next stage where you build it to the next level,
Yep.
and then scale it to a real
Exactly.
model, and then make it into a MVP that would be used.
Right. Exactly. So this community can take this product. They could probably, start manufacturing it by themselves, and they could support more communities that are into the craft of silver filigree.
And you're also helping save the art, right?
Yeah, definitely. In fact, the reason why we suggested that they go for a semi-automated machine is because a craft does not remain a craft when a machine starts doing everything. So, which is why we just had semi-automation in place for the foundational patterns, and most of the craft is still done handmade. So then we have a simple mechanical solution that we designed. Now, this is a proper idea to prototype, project that we had taken up. So when Urvi Sustainable Concepts approached us, they told us that they were working on these products, which are agarbatti, or let's say doop stick stands. So Holy Waste is the name of the brand, and they work with discarded flowers from temples. So they gather all this floral waste and they process it to make meaningful products. So earlier they used to make doop sticks which are of this size, and they came with basic problem statements. One, they used to use a bottle cap for the design, and similarly this design was not validated. So let's say when you place in a doop stick, this thing generally tumbles down. Similarly, the entire stand itself tumbles. So they came with such a problem statement, and the team was able to design a couple of concepts. And we built quite a lot of prototypes for them. We started off with 3D printing it to test the concept. Then we made another prototype. And finally, when we were able to prove this concept, we made this mechanical press that you see. So all they have to do is paste their slab of clay in here, press it, and then you have this. This is your output, and you can take a look at their logo as well. So we've done all this branding also for them. So you can in fact, you can take a look at this. So this is their floral stand, and you can place your agarbatti this way.
And this is sun-dried?
Yeah, the flowers are sun-dried. Yeah.
So they must be coming up with every day, thinking what next, isn't it?
Yeah.
When they walk in, because there's so much to do here.
There's so much to do. There's so many workshops that are still yet to come up. In fact, we have 2 more buildings according to the plans that are still yet to come up. So
I mean, this whole open space and because one of the things, for creativity and innovation is, do you feel at peace? Isn't it? Without that, it doesn't work.
Yeah, that's true. In fact, from here you can actually see the design of this building. So we've got this roof which has these translucent panels, so you get your natural sunlight, and the entire building is lit up. This is a beautiful view of the building as well from the top.
So how long have you been with TWorks now?
So it's been over a year and a half since I've joined TWorks.
And what's your role here at TWorks?
I'm part of the partnerships and business development team here. So I lead partnerships, and I'm also responsible for client management. So every request or inquiry that comes into the organization is first reviewed by me, and then it's passed on to the next, or let's say the respective team.
So personally for you, how's been the journey? I mean, the time you spent here, both on the personal side as a personally, for your personal development, and professionally as well.
Definitely. So I think TWorks, the leadership here, it's very able, and this is in fact TWorks. It's not just TWorks, but also all the innovation ecosystem that's been set up by the government of Telangana. That's exemplary in nature. I've interacted with quite a lot of officials from various states who have plans to set up such an innovation ecosystem in their own states, and it's been great guiding them. It's been great interacting with them. In fact, at such an early stage of my career, I've been exposed to such exceptional, or let's say amazing things in my life. And moving on from the social sector to innovation has been a great transition. In these 1.5 years, I've been able to learn every day. That's what keeps us all going at TWorks. Personally, I have been able to form some great relationships here with all my colleagues, and I've learned quite a lot of new things. In fact, I'm going to be trying pottery also soon. Probably 3D printing is the next thing I'll be learning. And professionally, I've been exposed to such amazing interactions, and quite a lot of these partnerships that I'm building right now are going to be very critical for innovation in India, in fact, because TWorks is the first of its kind, and this is going to be the role model for any other entity or any other body that plans to expand its capabilities and make hardware in India great again.
And when you're living, breathing in a place like this, it's very difficult not to be, impacted by it. So, do you have thoughts of ever, doing your own innovation, launching your own entrepreneurship journey?
Definitely. I mean, that's something that goes on in every employee here at TWorks. Probably not on the hardware side, but definitely all the relationships and all the interactions that I've had here are going to be very conducive in nature if I have to set up my own venture or let's say work on my own idea.
No, but do you think about that? I mean, are you thinking about in those lines? Someday I'm going to do my own entrepreneurship.
Oh yeah, definitely. In fact, the Telangana innovation ecosystem itself is so handy that you cannot avoid thinking of ideas and becoming an entrepreneur.
And you come from Karimnagar, which is known for it, isn't it?
I come from Hyderabad itself.
Actually, you're from Hyderabad?
Yeah, I'm from Hyderabad.
Because you said
itself.
There, Karimnagar, something with the...
No, Karimnagar, as in it's from Telangana, is what I want to say.
I thought you come from there.
No. So we're going to be meeting Anand Rajagopalan, who's Director Operations here at TWorks.
Perfect. Because that's operation, I'm sure, is going to be one major challenge here, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Anand.
Hey.
How are you doing? Great.
Good. Doing good.
Perfect.
How was your tour?
Oh, it was good. I must say, thank you for taking us around and giving us the opportunity. And seeing the space, seeing all the stuff that you see, one gets that feel, why TWorks is important, what's happening here.
Yeah.
And I'm very sure, anybody who comes into this ecosystem gets the feel of it, gets being part of it, kind of start thinking that he or she is also innovator.
Absolutely, that's the idea, and that's why even the architecture of the place is as it is. I mean, we have a lot of glass walls, and we want people to see what's happening within the facility. It's very inviting. We don't see a lot of bollards or boom gates over here. So of course, we're getting a lot of inflow, and we are trying to entertain everyone who's here. And the idea is to inspire. We want to make manufacturing cool. We want to make building something with your hands cool. We want to make working on the shop floor cool. So it's a long game. It's a 20-30 year game to be able to create that kind of culture.
I like that you keep saying we want manufacturing to look cool, right?
Yeah.
And that's how the environment also is. It doesn't look like a place where you have to go and sweat it out, right?
Yes, you do have to sweat it out, but you are working on how to make that look cool also. Yeah.
Operationally, how challenging or how interesting it is?
It's extremely interesting because traditionally the industry makes revenues through mass manufacturing. So you take one part and you do it 1,000 times, 10,000 times. The more times you repeat it, the more revenues you get. But here I think we shipped our 2,000 part recently. So every part we ship is different. So I think the challenge is because every part we make is different, it takes that much longer. So that's one challenge, to be able to churn out quickly. And as you know, entrepreneurs, MSMEs, or any user for that matter, wants their part yesterday. So we're trying to temper expectations and trying to also meet their expectations or meet me too. That's one challenge. The second challenge is also, as everyone faces, it's talent. And we are working with our partners to be able to attract talent that wants to be a part of a facility like TWorks, because it's extremely challenging, both physically and mentally, and it's also extremely creative. And that's why we have a few perks for people who come and work from here, including, we are one place where employees, of course, work on projects of TWorks, but they also get to work on their own products. They also get to work on their own startups, and we don't expect to see anyone retire at TWorks. We want them to work here for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and then hopefully go on to startup, and hopefully start up with a product they built out of 2 months. So I think that's what we're trying to do.
And we want to see, we'll be waiting to see that when products that come out of you or the product that come out of TWorks end up becoming big businesses, successful businesses.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thanks for hosting us.